Welcome to yet another session of Coffee with the Curriculum Coordinator at AIS PYP. I'll be your host, Mr. Evans, and for the next 30 or so minutes, I'll be taking you through what curriculum looks like in the current setting at AIS. So CCC, as we call it at AIS, is one of the forums we have to reach out to parents and the public as well to learn about the teaching and learning business at AIS. That's what we're about, the business of teaching and learning. So it is a biannual session that is organized to bring parents together as learners to learn about their curriculum and also to learn about how their children learn in the classrooms. So it involves presentations such as this one, and it's going to have discussions going on. We're going to moderate that in the chat room in a few minutes, and it's centered on the teaching and learning. That's what the agenda is today, looking at how we learn at AIS. Our agenda today is going to shine a spotlight on our distance learning program. So a lot has been going on globally, and a lot of schools have been forced to re-examine how they conduct education. And that's how we've ended up with our current distance learning program. So this session will mainly focus on what that means, what that looks like for parents, for students, and what we are doing in the background to make sure that learning continues at AIS. So you may ask, why do we call it the distance learning program? Why not simply the online learning program? So our program currently goes beyond online learning. It is a holistic program that's meant to ensure that learning goes on even when the devices are turned off, even when the internet cuts out. So it goes beyond online learning. It is a distance learning program that's meant to be comprehensive. And it has two parts to it. It has the online systems that support teaching, and it has the home as a learning environment. So we're putting those two together to make sure we come up with a comprehensive program that is all about distance learning. Our distance learning program at AIS in the primary section has been a work of refinement. We have learned lessons along the way, and one of them is the approach we take towards student engagement. And that's why we've made that a goal for ourselves, that of moving away from tasks and moving more towards learning engagement. So when students are engaged, they are connected to the learning. They are actively learning. They're actively doing the work. They are intrinsically motivated, as this author would say. So that's our goal we've identified for the primary section, to ensure that our learning is directed towards students being more engaged and less about them completing tasks before a due date. So this is our goal, and we would like parents to be aware of this, because this is what we'll be working towards. So it will no longer be about the amount of work that is given, but more how it engages the student actively in their own learning. This next part of the presentation, we're going to spend a bit of time looking at the key features of our distance learning program. As we said earlier on, this is a two-part program where we have the online systems that support learning and the home environment as well. So we're going to start off with the online systems that we're using or have selected to support learning in the primary department. So many of you I know by now are aware of Zoom as our web conferencing platform. That's what we've selected to support our classes, to support our virtual meetings between students and teachers, and parents and teachers as well. So this is a platform to support show and tell, to enable all participants give feedback, which is also instant and live. So we're currently using Zoom as our virtual classrooms, and we have made changes to that as we move on, as we have acquired paid accounts now. All our classrooms are being moderated in a homeroom setting where we're inviting the specialists to also run their lessons within the same virtual classroom. So another big component of our online platforms is Google Classroom. So this is our preferred or chosen learning management platform. So students are able to communicate and relay information between teachers, and also it's the messaging board for the class announcements, and also what we're using to track learning tasks, grading, and record keeping as well. Still focusing on the online components of our distance learning program, I would like to draw your attention to Study Ladder. So this is an acquisition we've had for the last 1 year. We've been running it successfully in primary. So it is a comprehensive online program on educational activities in the core subjects of math, language, and reading. So students get to take part in exercises that are very interactive, very student-friendly, and also the reward system that comes with this. When students are consistently finishing their 3 tasks every day, there is a reward to that. There's also a reward to how accurate they're being with their tasks. So it's helped with a lot of motivation in keeping students in that environment of practicing the skills that they've learned during the day. So another component to our online platforms is the class YouTube channel. So this is a platform we've set up that's linked to the classroom, and it's where we bank all our recorded lessons from Zoom. So we are actively recording all our sessions so that students can have access to this for reviews, and parents can have access to this with their efforts to reteach their students at home. So these are unlisted channels. They are unlisted playlists, and that means they're not available to the public. They're not searchable, they cannot appear in searches, and they're only available to those who have the link. So the link is currently posted in all Google Classrooms for the classes, and you can find all the recorded sessions there for your review. Have a very diverse program, and this can be evidenced in the many facets that you can see right now. So right now we're still looking at the online components of this, and right now I'd like to talk about Padlet and what it's helping us do at the primary level. So we take pride in making sure that student learning is visible, that your students can show and get opportunities to show their learning and also celebrate their learning. So thanks to Padlet, we are no longer limited to the 4 walls of our classroom. We have limited display space on Padlet to make sure that students can share their best work, their best efforts, post their reflections, and also keep a record of our successes. So Padlet is currently where we're displaying all our successes for learning. So you can visit the class Padlet, which I think is mostly available for upper primary classes, that is year 4 through to year 6, who are keeping record of their best work and their best efforts in their classroom. So moving on to assessment, which we are still ensuring that happens during distance learning. So we are going to attempt our very first map tests from a distance, and we're going to have students take their aptitude tests. And this is the very first test this year. So this year, we're trying to make sure that students give us a picture of what they're able to do, what they've been able to achieve in the core subjects of math, reading, language, and science. So we will be taking map assessments later on in the term, actually in a week. And these tests are not evaluative, they're formative. We're trying to get a picture of what the student is able to do and provide more detail to the new homeroom teacher, who will therefore be able to support the student in their learning throughout the term. So this for us is another way of making sure we're able to get student data on growth and progress. In the past few months, the home has become the focal point of learning. The home is a learning environment, also being moderated from an online setting, but the home holds a lot of resources and a lot of potential for being a learning environment. So that's why we're putting a lot of effort into ensuring that there's a school-home relationship that is being maintained. So one of the key features of our home as a learning environment is a proactive parent-teacher relationship. We are trying to ensure that our teachers and parents are in constant communication. They're giving each other feedback with regards to student performance and the challenges that students are facing. We have opened up several channels of communication to make sure that that flow of information between families and their teachers is effective. So we are honoring the parent voice as well in this and using the feedback that we've gotten from past surveys and also from the first week of school to design an optimal program for distance learning. And by optimal, I'd like to mention that this is the most favorable in the case where one size does not fit all. So that's what we've realized within the first week of school, that our prescribed program is not going to perfectly suit each and every family. So what we've ended up with is an optimal program to make sure that every student gets what they need at the time they need it in order to ensure continuity of learning. So we are improving and diversifying communication channels and maintaining an open door policy to all our platforms. Parents have access to Google Classroom. They can monitor the students' learning. We are also open to parents being present for their classrooms when they're having live sessions, but we don't encourage that parents sit in for all the sessions. I'll be looking at that later on as part of the recommendations that we're giving to families and homes during this distance learning period. Home environment, or the home as the learning environment, is very important in the success of a distance learning program. And at AIS, as we've seen in the past, we have maintained a very strong commitment to ensuring that the home-school relationship is maintained. This is one of our very first Coffee with the Curriculum coordinators from years ago, and this was a session where we looked at ensuring a fruitful relationship between home and school. So we are committed to providing students with pastoral support. This is in relation to the PSPE lessons that they're having. The focus has mostly been to enable students to be effective independent learners from home and how to cope, of course, with the different changes that have come with this form of learning. So we are providing students with that support. It is continued, but we are also willing to help families establish environments that are going to make this type of learning a success for their students. So the home is a resource. The home holds a lot of material. It has a lot of potential to make sure that students maintain some continuity as they learn from home. Moving on to some helpful and useful tips to help support learning from home. So this is something I'd said I'll get back to later on, and it was with regards to checking in with your students and their teachers on a regular basis. This is something we're recommending to families and parents to make sure that you check in regularly with both your student and their teachers. This is going to help uh, curb a lot of miscommunication and also mitigate a lot of the challenges that the students face without having to wait for an end of term conference. You have direct access to teachers through their emails. You can set up mini conferences just to make sure that the student is on the right track. So check in regularly with your child, and as I mentioned earlier, resist the urge to sit in all of your child's classes. Help them cultivate an independence. You can be there for some time and withdraw support gradually so that they get that independence of learning and also how to self-regulate and moderate their own learning. So another tip we're giving is help your child establish a daily routine for learning from home. Help them prepare for a normal school day, get ready, have breakfast, have a regular waking up time as they try to manage learning from home. It is a new setup for them. It is a new experience. getting them into a routine and helping them stick to it is going to go far in the success of their learning from home. As mentioned earlier on in this presentation, we did show a commitment to honoring the parent voice and listening to parent feedback. And we have been getting a lot of feedback from parents just within the first week of school. And also, before we began the term, we did send out a parent survey just to get a feel of what parents are going through from the other side and take into consideration the home experience as we design an optimal program for distance learning. So here are some of the highlights from that survey that we gathered and some of the recent feedback we've also received from parents. So we have put all that together and used it to design our current program. So we did ask parents if they were open to more live sessions. These are more Zoom sessions in a day. And based on your feedback, a majority of parents were open to more sessions during the day. And you gave a lot of feedback as to how you'd want that structured, if you'd want regular times, if you'd want all the sessions together. And we have taken into consideration all the feedback from parents, and we have made the decision to up the contact time in the number of live sessions for students. So you are going to see a lot more live sessions, but also this is on an optimal basis. We're not giving a lot more than students can handle. We've made sure to work in enough breaks to ensure that students do not get fatigued from sitting and staring at the screen all time. Remember, we did say this was a distance learning program and not just an online learning program. We are hoping that students will continue learning long after they've logged off from the Zoom session. So we have upped our live sessions to a reasonable amount based on age level as well. So you will find that the younger students have fewer sessions. And as we graduate into the upper classes, we have more live sessions as we have increased demands for syllabus coverage. This is our longest term, and we have very few months out of the school year to make sure that students learn all they need to and gain all the skills they need to move on to the next level. So we want to capitalize on that and make sure that students are ready for their next levels of learning. So that's the reason we've come up with more sessions, and you'll notice that within the timetables that were just recently released into the Google Classrooms. A lot of the feedback that came in from the survey, a lot of parents expressed concern about individualized attention and small group instruction. So a lot of you were asking us to attend to every child, pay special attention to individuals or students who need that. And this was not very evident in the Zoom sessions that we had. But now that we have more experience with Zoom meetings, we have decided to start running our breakout rooms and also setting up learning for small groups for more targeted instruction. So you will notice a lot of teachers using breakout rooms during their Zoom meetings. We have already instituted this for French, where we've divided students into 2 groups for more targeted instruction. This is already happening for French from year 1 to year 3. And we are committed to paying more attention to the individual needs of the students. So you will notice this going on forward, and the LSS department will continue to work with students individually based on their learning needs, and also working with the teachers to make sure that these students are succeeding within their classrooms. Mentioned earlier, our current program is a product of constant review, and one of the reviews we've started with coming into this school year is the recording of our lessons for later review. We're making sure that students have access to this bank of the teacher's notes and the teacher's discussion and their own discussions within the classroom, if they need to refer to it for them to understand later, or if parents need access to this to help their students catch up for a lesson that has been missed, or just to enable reteaching from home. So a lot of you were asking for recorded meetings. attaching videos, and hosting Zoom recording meetings. So all this was a lot of feedback that came in with regards to parents wanting access to what was covered. We understand a lot of parents have gone back to their regular work routines. So we are making sure to have access to this recorded session so that you can help your children review what they have learned. So we have already instituted this. The standalones are using the Zoom cloud to record all their sessions, or the specialists are using the Zoom cloud to record all their sessions and posting that link to the class, Google Classroom. And the homeroom teachers are recording this and maintaining their bank in the class YouTube channel, the link of which can be found in the Google Classroom. So please refer to all this material. The lessons are well labeled, they're well recorded, they're there for your use and to support students to learn long after they've logged off. Within this topic of prioritizing subjects, this was a burning issue that came in with the feedback from the survey. I would just like to point out that AIS is an IB world school, and with that, we have committed to a holistic form of education where we are hoping to nurture a well-rounded individual at the end of the program. So we are still committed to ensuring that our students get a full, rounded experience of school. So there was a lot of calls to prioritize what subjects and what lessons would happen over others. And we did listen to some extent, and we have made sure that students are not overburdened by the demands of some of the more specialist subjects. But we are still insisting that these subjects be maintained in the timetable, and students will still have their interactions with their teachers, and they'll still have engagements with all the specialist subjects, including arts, dance, PE, performing arts. All that will still happen for the students. As I've said, we're committed to providing a well-rounded experience of learning. So we have listened to that, and what we've done with effect to this and all the reducing and call to reduce and not waste time, even though we consider this a very vital aspect of learning. Some students have strengths within the arts, they have strengths within the sport. So we still want to nurture that even as they learn from home. So we are going to still have all our sessions for all the subjects, but what we've done is we've made sure that there will be no required assignments for some of these specialized subjects. There will be no explicit requirements for assignments or tasks to complete with regards to subjects such as dance, PE, drama, music. There will be no such requirements. But what we've done with regards to this is made sure that there will be no requirement on teachers to report on student progress or growth in the report. So these subjects will not be reported on in the termly report for the primary student. So this is a compromise we've had to make. We ask that parents understand that we have principles to stick to, we have a culture that we've created, and we want to stick to this. But now, based on that and based on the feedback and the current situation, this is a call we've taken. But just note that we will not be reporting on these subjects come at the end of the term. So they will not feature anywhere in the reports. Instead, we're only going to have the core subjects, which is numeracy, literacy, Kiswahili, French, and ICT. Those subjects will be reported on at the end of the term. I'd like to thank you for sticking around and taking time to learn about what we have to offer at AIS PYP. And just to bring to your attention, there is a team working in the background trying to make this a success for both students, parents, and the teachers. And it's led by Ms. Shalon. She is our head of department, and she is available for all your administrative concerns. Please, you can reach out to her with any concerns that you have with regards to the programs. And of course, I'm right here. I've been charting the way forward with regards to curriculum, assessments, and scheduling. and I'm available to any questions and concerns regarding those three matters. And we're also working with Miss Ariana, who is working with the specialist teachers and also supporting Miss Shalon in ensuring that we lead a successful distance learning program. So thank you so much for joining us for this presentation. And we hope to see you in the communications. We hope to get more feedback from you as we work towards achieving the AIS vision and mission, albeit working from a distance. Thank you so much for listening.